Hey guys, Sarah here from Recovering Book Hoarder, and today is the start of week 2 of Historathon. And this week, I am going to be focusing on The Dollhouse by Fiona Davis, and this is for the prompt, a book that takes place in somewhere that you have been. And so this takes place in New York City, and I have been to New York City. So that will be for that prompt. And I'm also going to read this week Anita Shreve's Stella Bain. And this is for the prompt, a book with a name in the title. So I am going to get started on these and be back to follow up in just a bit. Okay, so I read the first 2 chapters of both of these books. So The Dollhouse is dual timeline. It takes place in 2016 and 1952, I believe it is, at the Barbizon Hotel for Women. And in chapter 1, we're introduced to a woman who is living in the Barbizon with, I think, her fiance in 2016, and she is a journalist. She's just moved there, and she sees this woman who she finds very intriguing, just like has an air of mystery about her, and she talks to the doorman and finds out that she is one of the only remaining originals from the Barbizon back in 1952, and there's now rent controlled apartments in the Barbizon, and those few straggler hangers on are all relegated to this one floor. So that's 2016. Then in chapter 2, we're taken back to 1952, and we meet this girl named Darby, who's from Ohio and had just gotten to the city, and she is going to secretarial school. Her goal is to be able to support herself and not have to depend on a husband. There's some allusion to her father maybe not being the best of men, and her mother's new husband not being all that great either, and so she doesn't want to have to depend on a man. When she gets there, instead of being put on the floor with the girls who are also at the secretarial school, she is put on a floor with girls from Ford Modeling Agency. And the differences between them are striking. So that's where I'm at so far. It seems like it's going to be more of a fun novel, and there's maybe, I know that there's going to be some kind of murder in here, some allusions to a ghost story, and yeah, I think this is the one I'm going to focus on first this week. I did also read the first 2 chapters from Stella Bain, and in this one, we are following a woman who wakes up. It's 1916. Yeah, 1916. We are in the middle of World War I. She awakens in a hospital camp kind of thing, I think in France. And she has no memory. The only thing she can remember is that her name is Stella Bain, and she gets these other twinges of memories. She remembers that she can drive an ambulance. She remembers that she was some kind of nurse's aide or physician's assistant or something like that. And she also remembers that something about the Admiral, that she needs to be there for some reason. She, on her way to the Admiral, she ends up in this house with a cranial surgeon and his wife, because she kind of got exhausted outside of their home, and they took her in, ended up with pneumonia. And anyway, when she's talking to the cranial surgeon, he becomes kind of fascinated with her story, because she also has these intense pains in her legs, and she'll have times when she just kind of goes deaf for a while for no apparent reason. And at the end of chapter 2, he's asking her to stay longer and saying that he thinks that they can work together to try and figure out what's wrong with her, but she leaves anyway. But based on the description, they're gonna somehow end up back with him working on her or whatever. So it's good too, but like I said, I think I'm gonna focus on the Dollhouse first. So keep reading some more of this tomorrow, and I will check in later on tomorrow night, Monday. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, guys, so today is Monday evening, and I just finished reading the first half of the Dollhouse, and I have to say this is fun. I am enjoying it. So I really love the dual perspectives, although I have to say I'm more intrigued by the 2016 perspective, and like, because she's going around trying to dig in to the story, because she's a journalist, about the Barbizon Hotel and about the women that have lived there starting back in the 50s. And it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, there's definitely like a mystery here that, you know, I'm sure is going to come together in the end, and that's going to be solved. I really like Fiona Davis's writing style. I can very clearly picture everything that she's showing us. I have no desire to like skim over sections or anything like that. I'm really like reading the entire thing. Yeah, it's just it's really good. I'm happy with it. So I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow evening, and then on Wednesday I can move into Stella Bain. So yeah, if you want a fun read, hopefully this one continues to be fun. I would say that this is a nice little kind of escape into 1950s New York with jazz clubs and Art Deco and all that fun stuff. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, so it is Thursday, and I have been absolutely terrible about vlogging this week. I actually didn't read any of my Historathon books at all yesterday. I did read a little bit on Tuesday, but I was able tonight to finish The Dollhouse by Fiona Davis, and I really enjoyed this. It is the story of the Barbizon Hotel back in 1952 New York. Dual timeline. One timeline is 1952, the other one's 2016. In 1952, we are following a woman named Darby, who has come to New York to live at the Barbizon from Ohio after her biological dad died and her mom remarried. Not the nicest man. Her mom set up for her to become what was known as a Gibbs girl, which was essentially to go to secretarial school for a little less than a year, and then they guaranteed that they could find you employment after that. In the meantime, she's placed on a floor with models from the Ford agency as opposed to the other Gibbs girls. And as you can imagine, they're not like super nice. And she's befriended by a maid in the hotel named Esme. And Esme brings her out of her shell, introduces her to the somewhat seedier side of New York, and this is during like the jazz age. So they go and hang out at this jazz club called the Flatted Fifth, I think is what it was called. And it's her story. In 2016, Darby is still living at the Barbizon in a rent-controlled apartment, and along with a whole bunch of other women, some from like 1952, some that had been there since the 60s. And a journalist moves in and becomes very intrigued by them, especially Darby and her story. So her goal is to interview them all and find out what life was like. And then there's like a mystery there as well surrounding Darby. So I usually really like dual timelines. I did not love the dual timeline in this. I kind of wish that instead of actually seeing 1952 as it was happening, I almost think it would have been better told in the same style as Daisy Jones and the Six was, where she, you know, the journalist went around and interviewed these women, and it was them telling what had happened as opposed to seeing it firsthand. Because my least favorite parts were going back to 1952, and it's not that they were bad, because they were very good. But I preferred the 2016 pieces. I preferred her interactions with the women when they were older. And I think I would have enjoyed the book more if that was the way it was told. So it's not a 5-star read. I have to sit down and actually do like my calculations. My guess is that it's going to be a 4-star. And yeah, so that was my first Fiona Davis. And I know that she wrote, I think, The Address. I would definitely like to read something else from her, because this was her debut novel. I think she has several out now since then. So this was good. It was kind of a fun read, which I needed after last week. So yeah, I would recommend The Dollhouse. All right. Hopefully, I haven't read any more Stella Bain. I definitely want to get that done by Saturday. So I'll probably try and read a lot of it tomorrow. Whenever I don't finish, I'll get done Saturday. And then I'll have achieved my goal for Historathon for week 2. But all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. All right, guys, so it is Saturday. I've done an absolutely terrible job of vlogging this week altogether. But I did finish Stella Bain last night. This is like a readable in one night kind of book. So prior to last night, I had read through chapter 2. And then I started reading, I think maybe around 5:30, between 5:30 and 6. And I had it finished by 10:30 or 11. So it really, not a long book, very easy to read. Once I got into it yesterday, I really did not want to stop reading it. So this is the story about a woman who goes to France in World War I to volunteer. You end up finding out her backstory like once you get further into here, but when we meet her, she is just waking up, and she has a concussion. She's lost her memory, and she believes she's a woman named Stella Bain, but she can remember nothing else past the fact that her name is Stella Bain. Like, some things come to her as feelings, like she believes that she can drive an ambulance. She seems to have retained her medical knowledge. But as far as like her prior life, she just has absolutely no idea. But she has this feeling that she needs to go to this place called the Admiralty, which is a building in London. And she ends up making her way there and is found by a woman and her husband, who seem to be pretty well off. He's what sounds like it must have been a neurosurgeon at the time, and he has an interest in psychiatry. She ends up having these spells where she'll have intense pain in her legs that lasts for an extended period of time for absolutely no reason. She'll experience periods of deafness that will last for several minutes, and no like precursor that it's going to happen or a reason why, and things like that. And then she'll just have, she just discovers she has this ability to draw and starts drawing pictures. The gentleman, the neurosurgeon that she ends up living with, and his wife, it's like right whenever talk therapy became a thing, and he decides that, hey, maybe talk therapy will work with her. And that's all I'm gonna say. It was a very good book. This is actually my third Anita Shreve book. I've also read The Testimony and The Last Time They Met. I read that one as well, both of which I gave 4 stars. This one was also a 4-star read. Anita Shreve's writing style, I feel, is very different and can take a little bit to like get into and understand. Reviews that I read on Goodreads, complaints that I saw were related to writing style and that they just had a really hard time adapting to it. I like it. I think it's different. I think it's what makes Anita Shreve Anita Shreve. And I will definitely be reading more by Anita Shreve. So, to wrap up this week of Historathon, I read The Dollhouse, which fulfilled the prompt of Somewhere You Have Been. And I read Stella Bain, which fulfills the prompt of a title with a name in it. Name and a title. And I'm really happy with both of my readings. Both were 4-star reads. And I'm kind of loving Historathon this year. It's going very well. So far I have 2 bingos. I have a up-down bingo and I have a diagonal bingo. And next week we will continue vlogging. I believe next week is going to be the charm bracelet. And I think I'm going to do Wolf by Wolf, because that one I find very intriguing. So that's my week. Are you guys participating in Historathon? If so, how is it going? Have you gotten any bingos yet? What is the best book that you've read? Have you read either of the books I read this week? If so, let me know what your thoughts are. I love to interact with you guys in the comments. And yeah, I will catch up with you next week. Bye.